Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. Happy April Fool's Day, or maybe better, Fool's Month, because that seems to be a perfect metaphor for what's happening to the Democrat Party. In our live stream yesterday, I pointed out that we, the people, the American people, are today more united than we've ever been. We are more united in our disdain and distrust for the permanent political class. And so they're doing everything they possibly can to divide us. Racism indicators are the lowest they've been in 50 years across the board in our nation. And yet the ruling class is obsessed with racism and with casting a whole portion of the population as incurably racist. Every poll out there shows that we, the people, are more anti-war than we've ever been, even at the height of the Vietnam era. And yet our ruling class is not only more hell-bent on starting more wars with more countries than ever before, but they in turn accuse anyone of not supporting those wars as a pro-Putin stooge. Or think of the way blood-red Biden took to his podium and denounced half the nation's ultra-MAGA threats to democracy. Or even after the trans shooter kills 6 Christians at a school, Biden designates last Friday Transgender Day of Visibility. Whether it's slamming the vaccine hesitant or attacking the mythical wage gap or vilifying red states that have banned drag shows for kids, whatever it is, this is a ruling class that's obsessed with dividing us. And yet, it's not working. It's not working. We're becoming more united, not less. And the people are becoming more united in their distrust and disdain for the ruling class. And so, as I argued in yesterday's live stream, what we're seeing now is if they can't divide us, well, now they can detain us. If they can't partition us, then they're going to imprison us. That is what's happening with President Trump. But again, like we predicted yesterday, it's not going to work. Detaining and imprisoning is only going to further unite the people. And that is exactly what we're seeing today. Our first post-indictment poll has just come out. It's a YouGov survey. 2 weeks ago, the same survey found Trump leading DeSantis by about 8 points, 47 to 39. But now, post-indictment, Trump has surged to a near 30-point lead, 57 to 31, 26 points. His lead is literally tripled in 24 hours. And it's not hard to see why. The Daily Mail is reporting on the latest poll of reaction Republican voters to the indictment. 83% of Republican voters believe the indictment is political warfare, nothing more. Again, I got to say, I don't know why it's not 100%. I don't know what's up with that 17%. I guess that's the Liz Cheney vote, right? How on earth can any self-identifying Republican think that this indictment was legally legit? I mean, remember, the Justice Department itself declined to prosecute this case. The former Manhattan DA's office declined to prosecute this case. And even this Soros-funded DA, Alvin Bragg, himself originally declined to prosecute this case for obvious reasons. All Trump did in the end is he filed the payment he made to his lawyer, Michael Cohen, to reimburse him for his payment to Stormy Daniels. All the Trump organization did was file that payment as a legal expense on their taxes. Once it was discovered that the payment had nothing to do with legal services, it was technically seen as a form of falsifying business records, business documents, which in New York is nothing more than a misdemeanor and one on which the statutes of limitations ran out 5 freaking years ago. The hope of turning it into a felony rested on reinterpreting the falsified business documentation as deliberately trying to cover up another crime, which in this case was the accusation that Trump paid the money in order to hide the alleged affair from his presidential campaign, which would be a campaign finance violation. But again, that's virtually impossible to prove. They couldn't even prove it in the case of the John Edwards payment, a case that was on much stronger grounds, precisely because the reasons for trying to pay someone off go way beyond campaigns. It can be done for a whole host of reasons. So all of that's to say, whether you're looking at the case itself or just the history of the way the case was turned down again and again and again, no matter how you look at it, There is literally no case here. This Soros-funded DA, Alvin Bragg, could not possibly have raised a weaker basis to prosecute anyone, let alone the precedent-shattering act of prosecuting a former president. So I can't even fathom how anyone, let alone 17% of self-identified Republicans, could think this is a legitimate case. But regardless, it is absolutely clear Republicans are rallying around Trump, but it's not just Republicans. The Trump campaign is reporting that they just raised over $4 million in 24 hours after the indictment was announced. And get this, 25% of those donations, a quarter of the donations, came from first-time donors. That's huge because that indicates exactly what we've been predicting would happen. Remember, Trafalgar polling recently found that 79% of likely voters, 8 in 10, believe that we live in a two-tier justice system that deliberately protects political insiders at the expense of ordinary Americans. People felt the same way about the Mar-a-Lago raid. Rasmussen found that 53% of likely voters agreed with the statement that the FBI functioned like Biden's Gestapo. And the risk that the ruling class is taking in all of this is that this indictment